You've been taught supply and demand all wrong, and in this video I'm going to show you how to actually trade supply and demand and how to make some money. So let's get into it. Now I want you to take a look at this demand setup, right? We have a demand push, we have our gap, we draw our box like this. You can say we have a breaker structure either right there or a major one right here. However you want to look at it, we have the breaker structure. So everyone teaches as soon as we come tap back in, we enter the trade. You're probably going to go for a 101, but we go for 1-3s. But let's just say we're going for a 101. So we forward it, right? We tap in and boom, we instantly lose. This huge candle just comes and destroys our trade, right? And we're like, man, this must not work, right? How did this happen? I did everything right and I still lost. It's because you're not looking at the market how professionals look at the market. The first major confluence that you need on your side before you take a trade is top-down analysis. So before we even come on the 5-minute, we need to hit the weekly, the daily, the 4-hour, maybe even the 1-hour, and determine the bias for the day. And all you're going to be doing is checking what trend are we in? Are we in an uptrend? Are we in a downtrend? Are we making higher highs or higher lows? And then once you figure out your daily bias, then you go to the 5-minute and you trade accordingly. But that's not it. Second confluence is you want to wait for someone to lose so you can be the winner, right? In this case, buyers are the loser. So we see this demand push. We don't just enter off this. We need to see someone lose, right? So in this case, if top-down analysis said sells, right? So we put up here, TDA is sells, right? So we know we're only looking for sales. So what are we gonna do? We're gonna wait for a demand or buyers to lose before we enter the trade. So we say, okay, TDA is a sales. I see this demand setup. Oh, I wanna take it, but my higher time frames are saying we're looking for sales. So I'm not gonna take this trade. Instead, I'm gonna wait for them to lose. So let's say this one played out, right? Then we wait for the next one to lose. And then that's how you know when to enter. So as soon as these people lose, boom, we know it's time to go. So instead of looking for buys, we change our bias to sells because the higher time frame says. And then once these buyers lose, that was the confirmation that we are correct about our higher time frame bias. Then this is when it's time to make some money. So we put our sell set up a little bit before, a little bit after, give it breathing room, right? Put your TP to 1-3. 1-2.5 minimum, right? We don't do that 1-on-1 stuff. And now look what happens. You enter the trade, you hit TP beautifully. So when you wait for buyers to lose first, then the sellers are going to win, especially when we have top-down analysis, right? The market can't just be stopping out buyers and sellers back to back, right? That would be a rigged market. So if you wait for these people to lose, you wait for a demand setup to lose, then the very next supply setup is gonna probably hold, right? Now it's not 100% of the time, but it's way higher than not waiting for this, right? So once you start having a high risk to reward, it becomes kind of hard to be unprofitable, right? Now don't overanalyze everything I told you. Weekly, daily, 4-hour, 5-minute. That's it, right? You also want to make sure you're not trading against any H1 support and resistance zones. If you don't know what support and resistance is, it's just a roof and a floor, right? You see how all these wicks are bouncing off this zone right here? This would be a support or a floor. Same thing right here. We keep wicking this box right here over and over in the same area. This is a roof or resistance, right? Look for this on the H1. You don't want to trade against it, right? So if there is a H1 zone right here, we want to get out the trade as soon as we hit here. We don't want to trade against it, meaning we wouldn't enter a sell right here because we'd be stopped out right here. Or we can take TP here. So if I'm in this trade and we have good momentum, I know to get out once we hit this zone right here. Now let's look at more examples. So let's say we're looking for buys in this scenario, which I know we're looking for buys in hindsight, right? Because we're looking at the market and it went up. So that's how I know the higher time frame was buys. Obviously, it's not a live market. So we know we're looking for buys. What do? We wait for sellers to lose. So we have this supply push right here, right? The supply push. So many people took this. Why? Because everyone teaches take the major breaker structure, right? This is the major breaker structure and enter when it comes back. Everyone teaches that, right? That's just the way they teach it. And you wonder why people are unprofitable, right? Major breaker structure, right? What happens? You get stopped out. But what do? We wait for these people to get stopped out and then we flip it on them and we take the buys, right? So these sellers get stopped out, we know we're looking for buys if the top-down analysis lines up with it, and it does because the market went shooting up, right? So as soon as it comes in, we enter the trade. Look at that sniper entry. Remember I say a little bit before, a little bit after. Go for your 1-3, which is right there. TP would have been hit beautifully. When you start waiting for people to lose, you will be the winner. There has to be a winner. There has to be a loser. Wait for the losers to show up and then you will be the winner. Come on now, bro. This is real sauce that I'm giving you. Don't let this go in one ear and out the other. Top-down analysis. Wait for them to lose. So here's another example. We have a major breaker structure, right? We've never been this high. We have a major breaker structure. Everyone would say, draw your zone, enter when it comes right here, take your little one-on-one or whatever. And then when you forward it, what happens? You lose. And you're like, what is going on? I'm listening to all the rules. I got my little checklist. There is no news. I've been patient. I've been disciplined. Don't matter how disciplined you are. It ain't going to work if you don't got the right strategy. So what do you do now? You wait for these people to lose. And then you take the very next supply push, right? So we have this new supply zone right here with the gap. Now we're waiting for it to tap in a little bit before, a little bit after, 1 or 3, or even a 1 or 2. You can even do a 1 or 2. You ain't even got to go all the way to a 1 or 3 yet, right? If your stop loss is big, go for a 1 or 2. If they tap in, TP hit, right? The final piece of the puzzle that you don't even know that you're missing is Jesus Christ. Now I know you probably want to click off. Go ahead if you want to, because you're the one that's going to be unprofitable. The ones who take this advice are the ones who become successful. It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter how disciplined you are. It's not going to work without Jesus. I tried it for 3 years and I just kept breaking even or losing, and now I'm not understanding why. God is not going to give you something that leads you away from him. And if you're still watching this and you didn't click off, then God is calling you. And this is your sign. You tried everything else. Now try this. I wouldn't be saying this for no reason. This is really what changed my life. If this is the first time you watching my video, quick backstory. I was living in the ghetto. I was bedridden because I had a disease that struck me out of nowhere, and I was bedridden for 3 years. I couldn't stand up. Trading was my only way out. I used to have to donate blood just to be able to buy top ramen and go fill up water gallons at Stater Brothers. I come from the struggle for real. It's not something to brag about, but it's just part of my testimony. Sometimes God has to put you in a storm so you can see him walk on water. Sometimes in the darkest places is the only time you can see the light, and I'm giving you the light right now. Jesus Christ is the answer. In Matthew 6:33, it says, seek first the kingdom of heaven and all its righteousness, and everything shall be added on to you. So if you put Jesus first, if you put the kingdom first, everything will be added on to you. And I'm a living testimony of that. If you're one of those that just don't believe in it, then go ahead, click off, and you'll be back in a year or two when you're unprofitable and you're really going to want to surrender and try this out, and then you will be successful. So it's up to you, bro. If you're still new to supply and demand, I got old videos about it. Go ahead and check it out. If you want one-on-one mentorship from me where I'm going to hold your hand on Zoom call, click the link in the bio, apply. I'll see you guys in the next one. God bless.